have to re-sign it.
Who's left? Jimmy. Yeah, that's what
It should.
Where am I supposed to wear this? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hang on, I got an error.
All right, if we're all ready?
Oh, yep,
Hands up.
Not yet?
I have an error. Hold on.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Tell me when you're ready.
That'd be carrying.
Okay.
Okay. Would like to have everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Get us started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Keeler.
Here.
Alderman McCarthy.
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Here.
Alderman Koontz is absent. Alderman Emmett.
Here.
Alderman Stewie.
Here.
Alderman Danahill.
Here.
Mayor's here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go into announcements. I'd like to wish all of the students, teachers, and staff a happy, safe, and successful school year. Please be patient and alert on the roadways, slow down, stop for school buses, and watch for kids walking or biking to school. The City of Oak Forest has an opening for a payroll specialist. The deadline to apply is August 29th. For any details, visit our website at oak-forest.org. The Old Times Family Picnic is on Sunday, August 31st, from noon to dusk at the Oak Forest Park District. This is a cherished community event, includes kids' activities, beanbag tournament, a bingo tent, live music, and food trucks. Be sure to gather your family, friends, and neighbors for a good day of good old-fashioned fun. Public Works is seeking proposals for engineering firms that specialize in civil infrastructure to provide engineering design and bidding services for the 2026 Water Main Improvement Program. View the bid proposal also on our website, www.oak-forest.org. Kim Franco-Vilgia opens the senior luncheon season on Thursday, September 25th with the very best of the big bands, standards, comedy, and Broadway hits. Tickets for the event is $7 are available at City Hall. Join us for a community tree planting event at our South Suburban College Oak Forest campus on Saturday, September 27th. To register to help plant some trees for Oak Forest, go to our website, oakforest.org. Okay, let's move into the swearing in of our two new hire patrol officers, Anthony Carrion and Daniel Ramus. So we'd like Anthony to come forward. If you have family here, have them all come up.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Officer Carrion here brings with him 5 years of law enforcement experience with him and has worked in a multi-unit task force. He has a degree in criminal justice and is currently progressing through our field training time.
Raise your right hand for me. I, Anthony Carrion,
I, Anthony Carrion, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the laws and Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the codes and ordinances of the City of Oak Forest, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police patrol officer for the Oak Forest Police Department according to the best of my ability.
Chief, would you bring Daniel Ramos forward, please? And again, if he has family here, bring everybody on up.
Officer Ramos here brings 9 years of law enforcement experience to the Oak Forest Police Department. His background includes time as a field training officer, mentoring newer officers. Officer Ramos is also currently progressing through our field training program at this time.
I, Daniel Ramos,
Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the laws and Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the codes and ordinances of the City of Oak Forest, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Police Patrol Officer for the City of Oak Forest Police Department accordingly to the best of my ability.
I missed the other event, so couldn't make it. But it happens. And end of the month at the other shop, so it gets crazy. So, and it was all crazy. That's today. Everybody wanted everything. Can you get it by Friday? Can you get this by Friday? Order that by Friday? Before the week. Before the, yeah, before the. Yeah. Great.
All right.
and our photographer. Oh my God, it keeps going out. Did you back this out again? No, I didn't touch it. You see it?
They want to take a picture.
Oh, Jesus.
Stand up and offer a hand, I don't know.
Scott, you still got a picture of me and you, right? Keep that quiet, Scott.
Thank you.
Sure.
You folks don't have to stay around for the rest of the meeting, but you're going to miss a lot of good things if you do.
With you. You don't want to sit around here.
Get a few minutes.
Clear out. The whole place
Get
clears
clear.
out.
I know, right? You got the rest of this, right? I'm out
Right,
too.
got it. Okay, let's move on. I need a motion to establish the consent agenda. Alderman Danahill made the motion. Second, Alderman Stewie. Roll call, please, when you get a chance.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler?
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy? Alderman, Alderman Wolf?
Yes.
Alderman Emmett?
Yes.
Alderman Stewie?
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you. Okay, consideration of the following list of bills dated, regular bills and supplemental bills fiscal year 2025, 2026. Consideration of the following minutes, City Council minutes, June 24th and July 8th, 2025. Consumer Protection Commission, August 13th, 2025. Veterans Commission, July 17th, 2025. Planning and Zoning Commission, July 30th and August 6th, 2025. And Emergency Telephone System Board, August 5th, 2025. Approval of the ordinance of 2025-08-11110, authorizing amendment to Code of Oak Forest regarding the number of authorized liquor licenses. And approval of ordinance 2025-08-11070, authorizing the disposition of surplus property. We need a motion to approve. Alderman Stewie made the motion. Alderman Danahill made the second. Anyone have any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Stewie?
Yes.
Alderman Danahill?
Yes.
Alderman Keeler?
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy?
Yes.
Alderman Wolf?
Yes.
Alderman Emmett?
Yes.
The motion is passed.
Okay. IT, approval of 5-year contract with Provinet IT at $1,897.90, fixed monthly cost for the city's 8 copiers. IT Director Riemann, you want to take this from here? We need a motion. Alderman Danahill made the motion. Second. Alderman Stewie. Okay, now we can go forward. Tom?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Basically, this is going to take our 8 individual copiers that we've always had contract with Proven. Our current contracts does allow for overages and getting penalized for those. What this new agreement will do is finally bring all of it under one umbrella, one fixed cost, instead of writing 8 checks per month out as well too. It saves a little bit on our accounting. We have a fixed cost now, easy to budget, and it comes with a couple new copiers as well too within this program. It's for replacements of the older ones.
Okay, any questions from the Alderman? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill?
Yes.
Alderman Keeler?
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy?
Yes.
Alderman Wolf?
Yes.
Alderman Emmett?
Yes.
Alderman Stewie?
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you, Tom. Public Works, consideration of the approval of a revised proposal / final pay request from Calumet City Plumbing in the amount of $98,724.80 related to emergency replacement of a city storm sewer located at 15401 Natalie Drive. Public Works Director Michael, some motions. Alderman Emmett made the motion. Second. Alderman Danahill. Mike.
Good evening. So as the City Council is aware, we had a storm sewer repair. It was an emergency repair on Natalie Drive. The existing concrete storm sewer is 21-inch. It just started deteriorating. Sinkhole formed above the pipe, so we did get quotes. We initially, the only quote we ended up getting was from Calumet City Plumbing. The initial quote that we got for them was for the entire length of the storm sewer. We ended up televising the line. We found that about half of the line needed to be replaced, so we ended up getting a second quote for a lesser amount, which was about $74,000. As they were doing the work, unfortunately, the remaining portion of the storm sewer started failing, so then that necessitated us to replace the entire line. This was brought back to the City Council on August 12th, and it was approved for, I believe it was $90,000. Unfortunately, that number did not include, we had made a couple changes. One of those specifically, we changed the pipe material from a ADS plastic pipe to a solid wall PVC SDR 26. It's a stronger pipe. especially in that consideration, the depth of the pipe, we felt that that was necessary and the best option. So that did bump up the cost. There was a few other small items that the need for vac truck because of potential conflicts with water and gas lines. So the ultimate final cost for this project did increase to a total of $98,724.80. That's the work for Calumet City Plumbing. We still have some restoration work that we will be completing, but as far as the actual installation of the pipe, that work was completed, and luckily it was completed when it was, because approximately 2 weeks later we had those significant rains. That storm sewer drains approximately half of the Natalie North subdivision, so it was a good thing to get that done possible.
Any questions from the Alderman or Treasurer?
Alderman go first.
Treasurer Kelly?
Yeah, the aldermen usually go first, do they?
I don't see any Alderman.
Okay, then yes, thank you. Mike, one of my questions is that something like a sewer pipe is, especially in the Natalie areas, they've been around a long time. And I'm wondering, because this was an emergency, is what you've told us, and it ended up costing almost $100,000.
Correct.
It was not at one point on our CIP, which makes sense if it wasn't scheduled, and it wasn't. But what are we doing? Do we have a program where we televise our sewers, where we have something in place where we know these are the ones that need maintenance? I heard tonight that we're going for an RFP for the water mains.
Correct.
Okay, but what are we doing with the sewers? Because there's still, I mean, we are an aging community, and the idea that this was a surprise or an emergency, it's in one of the oldest parts of town. We televised it again, and first it went down a little, then it went up a little. What kind of planning do we do?
We do televise. We clean and televise quite a bit of both sanitary and storm sewer throughout the city, especially when we get notified of potential blockages. We make sure that the sewers are clear. If there's any roots in them, we get rid of the roots. This one, typically the concrete storm sewers should last quite a long time. For whatever reason, this run of storm sewer started to fail. We found out about it because of a sinkhole that occurred over the top of the pipe, so that necessitated getting it done as quickly as possible. We're working with the MWD as far as putting together a program that we're going to be televising and cleaning sections of the city's sanitary sewer on a regular basis. So we already do it, but we're going to be doing it kind of more per area, so that we're just going to kind of go around and then start over and just keep doing that. But we do quite a bit of cleaning and televising of both sanitary and storm sewer just on a regular basis.
I know that because it's been, a long time that I've been involved with, the city, and it's an ongoing problem. It is not something that gets solved one time and then you're done. But that's why I was thinking, do we have a plan like we do with MFT? We have people, the engineers, that look at our different roads and we decide which ones need work the soonest, and you've got something that's up on the city website. But I didn't see anything at all for sewer. And
yeah, typically if we find on a good portion of the lines that we do televise, we've got a list of sanitary sewers and storm sewers that we need to get some repairs on. Obviously, this one was needed quickly because of the sinkhole, but we do work on various locations on getting those repairs completed. Like I said, the sanitary sewer, we're doing a program where we're going to be televising and cleaning certain areas throughout the city, and just, again, it's going to be kind of a rotating one where we'll do one area, work our way through those areas, and then start all over again. So,
well, and I feel good about that, knowing that, because I was concerned whenever something's an emergency, it always costs a lot more money to fix, and people are inconvenienced too. So I wasn't sure what we were doing lately, and you also have something now where you've got sewer lining on Massasoit and Grange that is on the CIP.
Yes, we do. We're putting together a request for proposals for those lines. We're going to be advertising probably within the next week or two. We'll be advertising for lining those storm sewers as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Fire Department. Approval to purchase and program 14 Kenwood portable radios with accessories in the amount of $75,133.44. Need a motion? Alderman Emmett made a motion. Second, Alderman Keeler. Gary, please.
Good evening, everybody. The current portable radios that we have at the fire department need replacement. We've had multiple radios that need repairs, but due to their age, parts are no longer available. Additionally, the current radios are single band. They lack the technology to continue interoperability with other agencies. Communication is every year one of the top 4 causes of firefighter fatalities and firefighter injuries. So this issue was addressed a few years ago in terms of seeing the foresight to need us and to put it into our CIP program. We had a budget amount of $80,000, and what we did is we brought in multiple vendors so we could try out the radios all with either have the new technology or have the new technology available coming soon. But all of the radios that we did test had multi-frequency capabilities, which is what we were going to need not only to speak to our police department, but also half of the fire departments within our Mavis division. So what I'm asking for tonight is the approval of the invoice, or I'm sorry, the contract with ABEEP in the amount of $75,133.44 for the purchase of 14 portable radios along with accessories. And some of those accessories include backup batteries for those radios and include multi-bank chargers for those radios.
Okay, any questions? Alderman Emmett.
Gary, you just explained this. Mavis, blue, green, yellow, all them codes you guys, when you guys go in other towns, this will be on this radio band.
Excuse me, it will be. So the radio band that we currently use right now is VHF. That is, we use Orland Fire Protection District for our communications. The district, I believe, is just over half of the departments in Mavis 24, which is our Mavis district, is switching to an 800 megahertz system.
Okay.
These radios will be multi-band. They will have the VHF and the 800, 900 megahertz, so we can speak to the majority of anybody that we go to.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Treasurer Kelly.
I just wanted to say that when I was first reading this and it was saying it was in the budget, and I looked under fire, but it's under 911. So I think, and for some of the new aldermen, that it's on the CIP plan. I appreciate that, and that's part of what 911 should be helping us pay for. Thank you.
Alderman Emmett.
I'll yield my time to the treasurer.
Great. Any other questions?
I'm only kidding her.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gary.
Dramatics today.
All right, administration. Approval of mayoral appointment of James Hanlon to the Veterans Commission. Need a motion? Alderman Emmett made the motion. Alderman Danahill made the second. Just wanted to say Mr. Hanlon had been attending the Veterans Commission meetings and then signed up to be on the committee itself. So I think he'll be a good addition to the committee. Anyone have any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you. Okay, approval of special event permit vintage and handmade market with cornhole tournament at Habitat for Humanity Restore and Marcotte's Bar and Grill, September 13, 2025. Need a motion? Alderman Danahill made the motion. Second? Alderman Stewie made the second. Moses, would you like to?
Other than what's in the memo, in case if anyone has any questions, a representative from Habitat is here in case anyone has questions. If not, I don't have anything further.
Alderman Emmett.
I see they're going to be using the Marcotte's. I want to make sure they emphasize no open alcohol could lead from one parking lot to another. That's in with all our bars. Alcohol has to stay on the premise.
The alcohol has to stay on the property. We issue a special use permit liquor license to them that allows liquor in the exterior of the premise. Obviously, it cannot leave the property.
Okay, gotcha.
If I may add, we'll also
Can
have...
can we have your name for the record?
It's okay. My name's Hannah Enstrom. I'm with Habitat for Humanity. We will also have wristbands for those who are partaking in alcohol, and we will have it sectioned off to make sure that alcohol does not leave the area and that there is no one underage partaking.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you. Okay, approval of special event permit for B Oak Forest Lawn Party, October 17, 2025. Need a motion? Alderman Danahill made the motion. Need a second? Alderman Stewie. Okay, Moses?
I don't really have any comments other than what's in the memo. This permit was reviewed by all of the respective departments. It's here at the council that everyone is okay with it. Main thing to note is any use of the property has to be in accordance with the state of Illinois guidelines on cannabis. So, we defer to the state on that. There are guidelines for that, and, it's been reviewed, and I offer nothing further.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Okay, community development, approval of ordinance 2025-08-11080, authorizing a text amendment to the Oak Forest zoning code, amending the parking and loading requirements. Need a motion? Alderman Danahill made the motion. Second, Alderman McCarthy. Gentlemen, if you'd like to go right ahead.
Yes, I was just going to pass on the torch here to Hunter, run through this. He spent a significant amount of time catering through and working with multiple aldermen as well as planning and zoning. I think he's well prepared, but be easy on him, and I'll be here to answer any questions if you have any. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Alderman. Before us is looking at our parking requirements. The goal with our parking requirements is to provide flexibility for businesses. So if we look at existing businesses, you can see on the right that existing business locations experience red tape and delays when attracting new tenants. And this is for, again, existing locations, because many of our current businesses are non-conforming to our current parking requirements. For example, 5200 West 159th Street or Rocking Horse had 3 possible tenants told that they would not receive an occupancy permit due to our requirements, and as a result, the site is still vacant. Additionally, looking at Blarney Stone, they require 75 spaces based off of what we have, but only have 53 on site. So if, God forbid, anything happened where they had to rebuild or if they had to come under new ownership, they would have to come to City Council for a variance. Same with Marcotte's. They require 38 spaces but only have 18 off-site, as well as beyond just restaurants. Looking at Safeway Self-Storage requires 33 spaces but only have 10 on-site. And so when we're talking about our comprehensive plan, and wanting to try to be business friendly and attract businesses.
Did you hear him?
Raise it, bring it closer. I'm a taller guy, sorry.
Bend down.
Bend down. So, and based on, so when we think about our comprehensive plan and trying to bring businesses and residents to Oak Forest, this is one of the things that we noticed was red tape that was holding us back. And in addition, looking at kind of recent survey responses, Planning and Zoning Commission put out a survey kind of trying to get resident feedback on different planning and zoning items, and had 82% of respondents say yes, that they would trade fewer parking spots for more shops, restaurants, and green spaces. And so looking at this kind of with our past approvals, City Council from 2016 to 2025 approved 11 parking variations, with all the applications except for one being approved were for existing businesses. So when we think about the requirements that are in front of you today, it's affecting existing businesses, existing locations, not new development, because that will still be reviewed under our PUD, our plan development, our design review, our special use permit, as well as our liquor licenses. So the kind of the examples of what were some of these businesses that were previously approved, we have Maze and Barrow, New Horizons, which we will talk about a little bit later, Cooper's, Flannery and the Forest. And the reason this usually impacts restaurants and bars the most is because they have the least flexibility under our current code. So the goals of providing more parking flexibility is to simplify the calculations for the amount of parking that's required. If you look to the right, you can see it is quite complicated and very much depends on the different uses. And so if something was, depending on what type of office building, the same building could have different requirements depending on the different use. And this will also provide more flexibility to existing locations and attract new business to Oak Forest, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then finally, better align our code with the goals stated in the comprehensive plan. So when we look at kind of providing more flexibility for current businesses, a good example is the recently approved New Horizons parking variation. So the New Horizons restaurant, based on our current requirements, would have had to have parking in the front lawn, also on the street, and as a result, given that they would have had to have parking along the side streets on Central Avenue where the county owns that road, this likely would never have gotten approval from the county, and as a result, this business would have just sat vacant. And that's why they had to come in for a variance, and that's probably why the council agreed to give them a variance, is we don't want to, we have enough vacant properties as it is, trying to encourage the businesses that we do have to make it easier for them, but they still had to come in and have a month-long process to get approval. If we look at now how that would work for what their variance, this is under their current variance. Their parking was required at 51 spaces and they provide 36. This is also the same as if we followed Blue Island. And then kind of to get a sense of what this impact could be if it were applied to new development. Again, the current changes in front of you, because you'll still have design review and other reviews for new development, not necessarily going to change for that. But to say if you allow for less parking, you can have more development. And that, if we look at New Horizons, additional development of a 12,000 square foot building requiring 6 more spaces could have been accommodated with lower requirements. So allows different flexibility and for more business development creation. In terms of aligning with our comprehensive plan, one thing that Paul talked a lot about earlier today was having that flexibility and having that walkable downtown. And so if we look at neighboring communities that do have that walkable downtown where people enjoy spending time in, we could see highlighted in red is Berwyn's parking that they have around their downtown compared to Oak Forest. And you can also see kind of the screenshot below, where would you rather, looking as well compared to Blue Island. Again, Oak Forest, significantly more. Right now, parking and having a space to park isn't necessarily a problem along our downtown in terms of the amount of spaces that we have. So thinking about some of the concerns that were raised during planning and zoning, as well as talking to the different other people about this topic, I think a lot of it came around new development and wanting to make sure that any new building that was built had enough space where they weren't creating conflicts for residences on side streets or anything like that. And so taking that under consideration, all new development and most new businesses, especially bars through liquor license approval, will either go through design review, special use permit, liquor licenses, or planned development process. And that's where the city can require any additional restrictions, whether it be parking or anything else. And so I think definitely a lot of ample opportunity for new development to make sure that businesses are conforming to the goals of the city. The change today is really to provide flexibility for existing locations that will continue to sit vacant or be delayed in opening or have conflicts when they have to change ownership in order to receive a variance. And when we think about what the impact of a business potentially having, an existing business having less parking, is that people might, park further away or not patronize that business. The impact of our requirements is that the business will either have to spend the time getting a variance, or they will just decide to not move to Oak Forest because of the delays and the hurdles associated with it. So, in addition to the amount of parking, also looking at the stall and drive aisle requirements. So really our goal here is to simplify the requirements for parking stalls and drive aisle sizes, as well as provide more flexibility to existing locations and attract businesses to Oak Forest. Currently, our stall sizes depend on the zoning district that you are in. This is a bit uncommon, but not necessarily completely uncommon compared to our neighbors, but definitely our stall size and widths, especially for the non-I-1 and O1 district, is significantly higher than our neighboring jurisdictions. And we also separate out for automobile dealerships. They have different stall sizes and drive aisle requirements. And so for ease of use, to better understand, some businesses might look at one code and not realize that, oh, I actually need to do this when they submit their site plans. Might create better readability and understanding to have one set for the entire city. So for the parking size requirements, having that flexibility, you can look at having City Hall's parking stalls, for example, do not meet our current requirements. So if we're holding ourselves to a standard, then that standard should probably also be reflected in the code as well. But again, this isn't necessarily a big issue. We've only had one request for smaller than allowed parking stall sizes, which was approved as part of a planned development. So the bigger concern is really just simplifying to have consistent stall sizes across our zoning district. Though specific stall sizes do reduce flexibility for businesses to be able to determine what parking spaces, the size that their clients need. Maybe some need bigger, some need smaller, depending on their type of business. Same with looking at the drive aisles. Again, City Hall, as an example, doesn't meet our current requirements. This parking drive aisle is 22 feet wide versus we require it 24 foot wide in our zoning code. And specific drive aisle requirements can reduce flexibility for existing businesses. And again, this is focusing on existing businesses because we have those other reviews. And I think minimal public interest in how a business sizes their parking aisles, given that the International Fire Code has their requirements set at 20 feet, which will apply regardless of what's in the zoning code. So, trying to keep it short, the request in front of you is providing the businesses with parking flexibility for both parking amounts and stall sizes, and so that will be approval of the text amendment in front of you. But talking with the aldermen, as well as discussion at Planning and Zoning Commission, wanted to provide a variety of different alternatives to discuss as well, if that's something that comes up during the meeting. So thank you very much for your time, and look forward to answering any questions.
Any questions from the alderman? Alderman Keeler.
Have you had any businesses didn't come into town because it was so complicated to get the variances back passed into town?
Yep. So I'd say looking at the past variances, I think it's hard to always say exactly how many. I think one that definitely sticks out is the 5200, the Rocking Horse. as a current vacant property that they've emailed us saying, hey, we've had 3 interested tenants. We can't fill the space because of your requirements, and they don't want to go through a variance process. And so we just have a vacant space we can't do anything with. A lot of times, we tell them, here's the like they'll send in an email, and you send back, all right, here's the process if you want to go through it. And then it kind of just gets left there where maybe they'll come in, maybe they won't, similar to how we were talking about the use table discussion. And so don't have necessarily a great record of all the times that it's happened, but that's one that's very recent and very pressing.
And now after we passed them and we had the variance that they didn't have as many parking spots, have you had any complaints in the city that they couldn't park or anything?
So for them, for a use coming in, if it's...
No, after they got passed, like the new Horizon, have you had any complaints that, hey, I can't find any parking spots or anything?
We have not. I would say for New Horizon, I think...
Any other business?
Yeah, for any business, I think those complaints go to generally PD or building departments, so not necessarily where I've experienced it, so I can't speak for everything, but again, nothing that's really come up for us. I think a lot of the times people don't even know that these requirements exist, and if there are complaints, it's maybe one day out of the year that the business is busy, and I think the question to council is, do you want to sacrifice, maybe one day a year where the parking situation isn't great to just not having the business at all? And so I think even with our requirements, there's still situations where you'll have one day a year. Right now, our parking requirements, we're planning for the max. We're planning for the max possible potential users at this site, but that's not what it usually is on a day-to-day basis. And so you might have one day a year where it's bad, but are we saying that we don't want that business because of one day a year?
Okay. Anyone else? Alderman Emmett.
Hunter, nice display. Sitting on this council for years, the only time I've heard of negativity is when it's a bar in a small corner and it doesn't have enough parking, then they flood into our residential streets. Our response is put up signs, no parking, fire lanes and all that. That's the only concern I have. I have never heard nothing on a restaurant, a barber shop. I like the power sitting up here. Anytime there's a bar, that's what happens. It gets packed. We're hearing it right now down the street with the one on 159th. 159th, they're parking in Food for Less. They're parking in our city property. This is the problem area that comes to us. I've never heard a complaint with Subway, with, I just like to make sure that we got our teeth covered for if somebody wants to open a bar where the Rocking Horses that we shut down, then people had gunshots in their, bedroom windows, and that's the overflow.
Yep.
And that's why I want to make sure we got our grip on that. All of a sudden they come in, it's a bar. We say, yeah, 30 parking spots on your property, but they got the whole side street they can park on. That doesn't work. It seems like it doesn't work.
Yeah, and so that's where for bars, where anything that requires a liquor license, as we've talked about, where Moses brought that to city council, we had that discussion at the last city council meeting. Any new liquor license goes through city council approval.
Okay.
And so you have that ability to review and look at the site, think, is this a place where we really want to give a liquor license? If it's not, that's city council has that power to not give a liquor license.
Okay.
This really impacts, and that's the same for any special use permit or planned development or anything like that. I think this really impacts, existing restaurants that are not liquor restaurants, the kind of places that you said, hair salons, where they have these requirements, but they're not having, businesses are providing the parking that their customers need, but our requirements are going above and beyond.
Thank you.
Alderman McCarthy.
Like Alderman Emmett was speaking about Rocking Horse, that was horrible. The traffic, everyone parked down Laramie. It was crazy. And all the neighbors, all we do is get complaints. So if we didn't have some sort of parking regulations and we just let them, okay, just come on in, we need the business, I think we would get nothing but complaints from everyone that lives on Laramie. So I believe we have to have something, like we discussed. I said we need to have, I know you were saying, like if there's a downtown area, you don't, but there's got to be something set in stone for each individual spot, I would say. Yeah. Go ahead.
Alderman Wolf.
Yeah. I appreciate you putting all this together, Hunter. And we've had many discussions. I think from going from a plan that's pretty much inconsistent with or is consistent with other towns, all right, take Orland, for example, and Tinley, that have similar codes for parking requirements. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say universal, but Mr. Forbes refers to it that way as far as international coding, where they've taken, and that's how ours was developed, though, through those standards. But to think of going right now from doing away with all that restrictions, it's up to the business, okay? Is a far, I mean, that's going from one extreme to another extreme, very extreme. When we don't have a plan in place of where that parking can go, because we don't have streets like when you reference Blue Island or that can park on that street. They have parallel parking. They also have much parking behind those businesses where, so they can go off the street where they're not really going into the neighborhoods. So we have to come up, I think, before we even go a step further and want to say that this makes sense, is that I would think we'd want to look at it a little more to develop a plan that'll work for us once we look at where is parking for all these businesses then. I somewhat agree. If we had, and Oak Lawn has done this. They've taken parcels where they have a public parking lot that is good to cover the whole block of individuals going to different stores. But to think that we're going to develop or a business is going to come in now like a nice restaurant or something, and they're not even going to think about it if they got 3 stalls. All right? So I don't think by passing such an ordinance that it's up to the business isn't going to attract more business. If it doesn't accommodate the business to begin with, I think there's stuff we can do, I think, and take it another step and look at the various zones and the permits and what we can allow for it, but I wouldn't just take it all away and leave it up to an owner.
Okay, Clerk Tomek.
I would the way I read this ordinance is it's about existing businesses, not new businesses. It's like if a owner, they were selling a property and somebody was coming into an existing business that's already there, correct? It's not that like a new development, they're building a building. It's more of if we're changing ownership, they don't have to go through red tape and us take the chance of us saying, no, you can't have a parking variance when it didn't exist in the first place. That's what I think this ordinance is about, right?
Alderman McCarthy.
Would that be right back to, if, say, a new business did come into town, would this parking be the way it is for them also? Would they have no restrictions?
So if a new business comes into an existing location or new?
No, she's saying it's only for that.
If it's a new building, so I think like if they're building a new building,
right,
it goes through either a design review, a plan development, or like it will come to city council.
But if we have a zoning rule that you don't need parking,
So even with what we're saying here, like with the changes that we're approving, any new building will have to go through some sort of review.
right, but the rules will be at that time that you don't need a certain amount of spots, right? So then they be approved.
You can approve it with conditions, like you need additional parking.
Yeah, so like you have the power to say, for example, if, and this, like for any new development, if it's a planned development, for example, we are not going to approve your planned development unless you have this amount of parking spots. Or if it's a design review, we're not going to approve your design, your site plan without this amount of parking spots. So for any new business, any new building, that you'll have the power to control how many parking spots they provide. This will also apply for any new bar that is obtaining a liquor license. You can say, we're not going to approve your liquor license unless you have this amount of parking spots. Same for anything that requires a special use permit. I'm sorry. Any new business, any business that requires a special use permit, so any event space, again, you would be able to say, we're not going to approve your special use permit unless you have this amount of parking spaces. This, as Nicole was saying exactly, is for existing businesses, existing buildings, putting in, you know, if I'm moving out and I want to change ownership, and I'm currently underparked, as I've kind of noted, there's a lot of bars and restaurants currently in the city that don't meet our requirements. It makes it so I don't have to go through a month-long process and have any risks in the sale, that we already approved it. Like, we already approved most of the variations anyways.
All right, so like the Rocking Horse Building would have to get a liquor license, so they'd have to get approved for as many parking spots as we decide.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
if
and
they-
after they watch this, they'll see that, what was it, 75% of variances are approved for parking anyways? So it's, I mean, for them to be saying that's why they're not coming, it kind of makes you wonder a little bit.
Like, I think it's, if I'm a restaurant or a bar thinking about moving to a city, I have, you know, maybe multiple options. Why go to a place that has more of a risk, and kind of invest in applying and going through a month-long delay versus going to a place where I can open up tomorrow is, I guess, the like logic that we're worried about, and that's what we're seeing on the ground is what business owners are thinking about. And I think, like, Ken can probably, as a business owner, talk about the delays and risks that, you know, a business owner kind of thinks about and goes through when they decide on their locations.
Alderman Wolf.
Thank you. In what you've had presented, and I understand what you're saying as far as how it pertains to new business versus existing businesses. But again, I think I'm looking at too, as that standpoint, is that it may go through a design review, but can you actually say, okay, that looks good, but you know what? 3 spots aren't going to do it. You need 5. Well, it's not in our code that you can even say that to a new business.
So in a design review for a new development, it has one of the criteria for approving a design review is impact on neighboring properties. And so within that criteria, if you didn't have enough parking, that would be an impact on a neighboring property, and that'd be a reason to deny that design review.
So if an existing structure, whatever it is, I mean, when you're considering a new business, are you considering, say, that we have a couple of these auto shops, and someone likes that property and wants to just turn it into a restaurant? Okay, is that an existing use or existing business?
It's a new building. So if they're building something new, then yes. If they're changing the design, like the code kind of says substantial addition. If they're, you know, adding space or doing something like that. For example, a recent design review was when we had the Dunkin' replace their signs, where they added signs and it changed the facade a little bit. That also goes through a design review. So any kind of new addition, new building, that would all go through a design review.
Yeah, even for the, and I think in listening to the whole planning and zoning meeting and going there and the comments back, is that my feeling, I agree with you. Maybe we have to look at the parking itself and see if they qualify, or you know what, if it can come down a little, but to do away with it, and from what I've seen, and it was kind of split within planning and zoning, I'd like to even see this go back for more discussion before you just take this code and change it where you're not required. You tell us what you need, or you move in. And the reason some of these variances have come up when you're talking about properties that have existed as a restaurant for a good 20 years, all right, and our code has changed since then, is why they're looking at it. Is it going to deny the business? No, as you said, the variance isn't. I don't know, when we mentioned, and the question was asked, as far as what opportunities have we lost on a new business, or somebody come over to take an existing business that we've lost due to parking. And the only one you really mentioned was the Rocking Horse, that, you know, he's got a couple in mind. But if it stayed that establishment, it's not going to change. We, as a city, if you're going to accommodate that, as Oak Lawn has done, they bought property and turned it into a parking lot, but not to have it overcrowd into our residential neighborhoods. So I don't know. I like the idea of looking at it. I just as soon see it go back to planning and zoning and discuss it more, because when I was there, it was, you know, was one way or the other, but there are other options.
Yeah. I think what we're dealing with here is, for new businesses, it's going to go through the entire process of what we have set up already, as far as identifying plan design and what the needs are there. When we get into businesses that may want to come into existing structures, they may want to redo it. They also will have to do a lot of that same process, but they may ask for variances, and that means the rest of the council here and the planning and zoning have to ask the right questions to make sure we're meeting what we need. If a business is like Rocking Horse right by residential and they don't have the parking lot, maybe we don't want to put it there as a city council. That's what I think we're talking about here. You know, as far as new businesses, new constructions, have we lost any businesses to this point? We've had people come and look already since I've been here, and they've looked at things, and they may be wanting to build on an existing structure that they can redo. I think Mr. Keeler could tell us that. He's gone through that scenario, and it's not easy for them. They're looking for what the easiest thing is to start their business, and they sometimes in our community don't find it. And that's what I think we're trying to do, give them options then to take a look at those properties and see what they may need for parking. But if it's impacting residential neighborhoods or stuff like that, it's up to us to make sure as a council that we're monitoring where that parking is and what it's going to impact those people. So Alderman Emmett.
Hunter, I really appreciate what you're doing. You're bringing a lot of fresh eyes, younger eyes, and I know you're trying to do. Everybody on this board is business friendly, and my only concern you answered. I just want to make sure we put bars that caused uproar in the community, and we have some of that going on right now. I think you're trying to make it easy process. We're going to get the big. We're not going to get the big Costco's. That's gone. When they decided bedroom community in the 60s, 70s here, that's what happened. But if we could get mom and pop shops here and give them a chance, I'm all for it. And I appreciate your hard work, you and your cohort behind you over there. But you guys have been doing a lot, and you're updating our codes that we didn't see. And I really appreciate that with your fresh eyes. Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
No.
Alderman Wolf.
No.
Alderman Emmett.
I'm going to have to go yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Okay. Now, approval of ordinance 2025-08, 11090, authorizing a text amendment to the Oak Forest zoning code, amending various sections of the code. Need a motion? Alderman Keeler made the motion. Second, Alderman Stewie. Paul?
Good evening again. So before us this evening is additional code amendments and cleanup of our zoning code. As I will specify in future slides, there's quite a few things just looking at cleaning up, potentially tidying things up and making sure they're consistent with state requirements and things along the lines as I will go on. So as I said, there's a text amendment request to allow for comprehensive update to the zoning code, and I'll just jump right into it. So basically, first and foremost is removal of any reference that is repetitive and no longer applicable, similar to what we worked on the last meeting, is removing the commercial overlay district, and also another thing in this one was permitted variations. The understanding is that City Council is able to allow for variations in any category of the zoning code. There was specific ones in there that were listed. And it's really, just the understanding that City Council can grant a variation to anything in the zoning code. Then additionally, Hunter was able to put together a consolidation of our bulk space and yard requirements. Each individual chapter, the residential areas, the multifamily, the commercial, all of them had their own separate information. So now we have a nice consolidated area. You can look, refer back to the back of the book. You'll have all the information there then rather than going chapter by chapter to get to the right location. And then additionally, we relocated the Gateway Redevelopment Overlay sub-area to a Gateway Redevelopment District, which will be future memorialized in a future rezoning after the next item. The updated use table, similar to what we discussed on the last one, there was consistency there in an entire category. So rather than breaking down each individual healthcare use, we simplified that to healthcare uses permitted throughout the entirety of the commercial districts, allowing that also into our industrial district as well. Our industrial districts aren't necessarily very manufacturing and based like that. There's some flexibility in a lot of those units, being our industrial parks are kind of off of commercial areas. All definitions, as we started in our last amendments, have now been formally all moved out of the code and into the definition section, so it's not recited in both locations. We relocated the use table to allow the commercial maintaining 80% of the frontage, as we did in the last one. The last amendment, this required us to also include that into the use table so that we could have that reference material to those people that are looking to, take advantage of mixed development. Home-based businesses must provide federal and state licenses, so we, formalize that process to make it consistent with what we were doing here in-house, making it consistent that we currently do not license home-based businesses, and we're going to continue to do so, but those that require federal or state licenses, we would ask them to provide those so that they're being properly documented. Standardizing distance and hours of operation requirements referring to state law and city code. This is another one that referred to cannabis dispensaries, which we have already mirrored the existing requirements of the state code. So in the case that some of those things change, we'll be consistent with it. If there's any, changes in those codes, we'll be on top of those. Removing the prohibition on mixed use, as I spoke in the previous, at one point in time we had a specification that required plan unit development to allow for multiple uses on one property, which is inconsistent with us allowing a mixed use permitted as we did before. So just removing that interpretation there. And then removing additional outdated language such as certificate of occupancy, as that's not provided by our department, that's dealt with through the building department, and then removing of inventories of nonconformities. We've taken an active stance on the sign amortization and removing of the pole signs. There's a number of other nonconformities that we're not aware of an existing list that lists out there. So just to be consistent with the code, we're removing that. The intention is property by property, as we have some type of a project or some type of request, we're confirming that any of those nonconformities are being addressed. And I believe this is towards the end. Removed the prohibition on mixed-use development, as I said before, and then replacing the word yard with setback as applicable. There was a number of places that we were talking about the setbacks of a house, the setbacks of things, whether it be a shed, a pool, that were being referred to the required yard instead of the required setback as normally utilized in a zoning code. With that, I will entertain any questions. I know it was quite a doozy on that one. There was the entire zoning code, but we wanted to make sure you guys understood how that fit within the rest of the document.
Any questions from the alderman? No? Roll call, please.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Alderman Danaho.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Okay. Approval of ordinance 2025-08-11100, authorizing a map amendment from C3 Central Business District to the Gateway Redevelopment District, GRD, on property bounded by 159th Street to the south and Cicero Avenue to the east and the Rock Island Railroad to the northwest. I need a motion. Alderman Danahill made the motion. Second. Alderman McCarthy. Paul?
Yes. So as the mayor said, we are looking at a request to amend our map, an area bounded by Cicero, 159th, and the Rock Island Railroad. It's currently C3 Central Business District, and we're requesting the council approve a rezoning to a new created zoning district called the Gateway Redevelopment District. The current zoning of the property is C3, and then there is a GRD overlay, which is basically a zoning district, which would be the C3, the entire area of Cicero Avenue is C3, is got its own specific rules, regulations, and requirements. An overlay district is basically on top of those rules and requirements, there's additional rules and requirements. So making it not necessarily more difficult, but there's more specific requirements that we're looking for in a development around the train station in that area. So basically that overlay additionally, regulates those. The existing use of the property in the triangle that we currently have in our code specifies that the areas constrained to the planned unit development under ordinance 2008-01-01470. With that said, any changes to that require an amendment to the planned unit development, basically on a one-off basis. The building behind Starbucks had to amend that existing PUD to allow that, and then when we do get to the point of the two existing pads left on the city's portion, that would also come through that similar process. But in doing so, we identified that the Gateway Redevelopment District kind of has its own merits and stands separate than the way that we treat the remainder of Cicero Avenue. And I think in talking to planning and zoning and other members, the idea is eventually similar to what we have in our design guidelines to extend that area to connect parts of that transient-oriented development as we typically want to do and what has been outlined earlier in the comprehensive plan. But as of right now, we're kind of building in that backbone to what we currently have and making sure it's consistent with what we're looking to do. So before us this evening is a rezoning, as I said, from the C3 Central Business District to the Gateway Redevelopment District, creating a district specifically for that type of use. And the regulations for the overlay would be the new regulations for the zoning district. And with that, I would entertain any questions.
Any questions from the alderman? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Alderman Emmett.
Yes.
Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Okay, we'll move into citizen participation. Anyone in the audience like to come before City Council and address an issue? Okay. Old business. Anybody have any old business? Old like old business. Oh, new business. Alderman Danahill.
I just want to thank everybody who was involved in extending the walking path on Forest View Drive into the community. It looks wonderful. It took many, 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 many years, many public work directors, and it's finally done. And I just want to thank everybody for all of their hard work.
That's nice.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business? Nope. I would then like to ask for a motion for adjournment. Alderman Danahill. Second, Alderman Stewie. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Danahill.
Yes.
Alderman Keeler.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
Alderman Wolf.
Yes.
Alderman Emmett. Alderman Stewie.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Great. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.